The opinions expressed here are exclusively those of CG Sense. No brand affiliations, free products, or affiliate marketing are associated with this video.
For a week straight, I put on 4 sprays of Thé Matcha 26, 2 to the chest, 1 to each wrist. The opening, I get hit with an overdose of fig, creamy fig. Really, fig is one of those things I haven't had too many times in my life, but this is so accurate and so fig prominent on the opening that it brought back all of the memories that I have of ever tasting a fig. Has a creamy texture to it and a bit of almost like a spearmint bubblegum kind of herbal component to it, but really that creamy fig is so front and center for me. If I were to describe the opening in layman's terms, I would say it's definitely like mint ice cream to me. That's the most simple way to break it down. If you can imagine smelling and projecting mint ice cream with a bit of an herbal component, that's exactly where my brain and my nose goes with the opening of this fragrance. I'd say the opening isn't my favorite part of this fragrance, but I also really quite enjoy it. I think it's really nice and refreshing. Now there's a transition phase between the opening and 2 hours on this fragrance where that creamy fig starts to dial back, especially after an hour. Then it really starts to kind of dial down. So if you could think of it this way, the mint ice cream kind of dials down that creamy sweet part of it. And what dials up is the smell of green tea, like a fresh herbal, I want to say green tea powder. It almost because it doesn't, like a lot of tea fragrances, you get the bitterness of the leaf, the smell of nature around it. Not so much with this one. This one's like isolated tea freshness. And it kind of makes sense because matcha is like an extract of green tea. But it has this just super clean, fresh tea scent riding on top of this creamy fig, almost mint ice cream-esque kind of smell. Really beautiful between hours 2 and 6. I would say this is Thé Matcha 26 prime time for me. This is where I like the scent the most. I do feel like if people were to go up and spray this on paper and just smell the opening, they wouldn't capture all the scent is about, and they might think there's no matcha in this at all. Because at hour 2 to 6 is when that matcha is just riding on top of that creamy fig perfectly. So it's this really nice herbal green, fresh, relaxing scent on top of a smooth, creamy fig layer. Beautiful scent in this period of it. Now there are components of Santal 33 in this for sure. Very lightly, I do get the sandalwood. I feel like that's going to be more prominent for depending on the person. But between hour 2 and 6, there is a bit of that Santal 33 sandalwood on the bottom of it. Doesn't smell like pickles to me, but at the same time, I've worn this out, and people that know the fragrances will tell me, oh, are you wearing Santal 33? And I'll have to say, no, this is Thé Matcha 26. So in the air, it can kind of be perceived that way. The sandalwood might stick out a bit more. I also think that that green tea smell that's riding on top of the creamy fig can kind of be perceived a bit floral, almost like rose petal freshness. Kind of reminds me of the tea note in Thé Noir 29 in that sense, almost like the tea note in Thé Noir 29, but without the bitterness of it. Somebody said that this kind of has a floral component with a sweet fig undertone to them. Regardless, that 2 to 6 hour Matcha 26 prime time, absolutely love it. Between hours 6 and 9 is when it dries down to a skin scent, but it's one of those super addictive, beautiful skin scents where you're just like smelling it. In this stage, the herbal green tea kind of dials back into more of the creamy fig, and it's just this really smooth, semi-sweet, hard to describe, addictive skin scent between hours 6 and 9. Get very good performance out of this one. Now, over the 7 days of wearing this fragrance, it really, honestly, I feel like it grew on me, but it reached a cap. It was like, you know, at first it was an 8, and then it became a 9, but it just stayed at a 9. Really like this fragrance, though. The more I wore it throughout the days, I didn't notice much nose blindness happening. The change, I would say, is that connection to mint ice cream. I feel like came as the days went on, stronger and stronger and stronger. Like the first day, I was like, wow, this is creamy fig. But then it's like on day 3, I got the mint ice cream in my head. And then as the days went on, it got more and more affirmed, like that connection. And I would be spraying this and saying, wow, like I smell like mint ice cream. Like it's amazing, not the most masculine thing in the world, but nobody smells like that. And it does smell incredible. So the opening just became more and more of like this correlation in my head. but the dry down, always loved it. It grew on me. I feel like something totally unique. And over the 7 days, I really did not get overly bored of this scent. I wouldn't say it was the most exciting thing to reach for every day. It's not challenging. It just smells really good. But at the same time, I didn't really feel myself getting bored of it either. So it's just like this really good scent in my opinion. I really rank this one high in my mind. Now it's going to be really hard for me to categorize this scent because this is the type of scent I don't typically go for. I don't really like creamy scents. Like that's one of my things. That being said, I feel like the obvious thing is if you like this, it might be worth trying BDK Gris Charnel Eau de Parfum. Granted, I love this one and I don't like the BDK, but at the same time, it does have that creamy, almost texture, but instead of having green tea, it has almost this like chai tea. Where I don't like it is that I feel like BDK goes a bit too creamy, a bit too feminine for me. I feel like this one, it is lightly feminine, but not as much as the BDK is. You might also like Musk Therapy by Initio. Again, I don't like that one, but this has a similar creamy texture to me. And it's fresh. Yeah, I can't really think of too many recommendations. But if you're in the comments and you know the Thé Matcha 26 and someone came to you and said, this is one of their favorite fragrances, or they really like this one, give them some ideas in the comments. I'm curious what y'all come up with. Things for them to try. It doesn't have to be the same as this or even similar, just something they might like as well. Thé Matcha 26 definitely gives me a very relaxing vibe. I'm not sure why it does this, but it's like one of those things that initially from the beginning, I always got images of like a wellness spa, something like with the open space and it's just a place you go to relax. And a wellness spa, if they had a room spray to just give you a sense of calm when you walked in, I feel like that room spray would definitely be this fragrance. Now I haven't been too exposed to Asian culture, but it's really interesting how this kind of just brings back memories. Like I had a Japanese friend growing up, and anytime I'd go to his house, there was just this sense of minimalism almost in the decor and in how everything was laid out. Even like the little figurines and toys that they would all have this almost minimalistic, calming vibe. Everything put together and super clean. And a lot of people will say that this doesn't smell like matcha, but I feel like it captures that essence of that culture so well. It almost captures the essence of matcha and what's around it. I feel like anybody could just make a fragrance smell like matcha tea. Like, I don't think that's the real challenge. I think what makes this fragrance special is how the whole fragrance comes together to give you not just matcha, but what surrounds it, which is almost this kind of Japanese culture, minimalistic, relaxing vibe. One of the images it puts in my head is like an upscale kind of bougie hipster vibe, almost like a Beverly Hills hipster. Maybe like a soccer mom that practices meditation on the weekends, reads books by Eckhart Tolle, decorates their place with a bit of an Eastern aesthetic, always is on like the next new diet trend or doing a juice cleanse, kind of like that vegan, upscale, bougie, hipster, Beverly Hills sort of vibe. I'm not sure why my brain goes there with this, but it just makes me definitely think of that type of personality. Almost feels like a fragrance you'd find at an upscale version of Earthbound, how they have all that kind of Eastern aesthetic, but like a more upscale version of that where it's like a big white room and there's a bunch of pendants that are Eastern and they're very overpriced. Everything's expensive, but it's a very spacious, roomy environment. Also gives me a sense of like somebody who would shop at Whole Foods. Like it kind of has a farmer market feel, but it feels more modern and upscale and bougie and put together and relaxing. Also kind of makes me think of a juice bar, maybe an upper end juice bar that has kind of an Asian aesthetic, and they serve boba tea and matcha lattes, holistic drinks and that kind of thing. So when I think of the ideal profile, who would pull this off the best of all would be an Asian girl that's very neat and reserved, someone that's kind of to themselves. I don't know why it brings me there, but it just makes me think of that, like that type of personality of calm, relaxed, everything's put together and really neat and that kind of aesthetic. For a man, I visualize like a very casual, relaxed, masculine person. Perhaps with a bit of a hipster flair, like a man who has a bun. It makes me think of like Silicon Valley and tech workers out there. I think that has to do with just that area and that kind of money that's in that area, and those type of people probably practice more of the whole upscale kind of hipster aesthetic.
Thé Matcha 26 from Labo. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that the packaging is not the most impressive packaging or presentation that I've seen in a perfume bottle, but they could be going for that, like that minimalistic style. So if that's what it is, then cool. I've always said it, and I'll say it again. The scent itself makes me think of mint chocolate chip. Okay, so that being said, to describe it better, it's like creamy, milky, herbal. That's the mint element, but it's like creamy herbal mixed together. That's what I get from it. I think that it could work as a unisex fragrance. Yeah, I think this is actually right in the middle of the genders. Like, it could be unisex. But personally, with other options available for me, I don't think I would lean to that one. I think it would be like a casual scenario, like jeans and a t-shirt, spring, outside. You're just wanting to smell fresh and nice, and it's a like I'm not trying to like degrade the scent by saying this, but it's like a cute scent. It's cute. It's not formal or like serious. It's cute. It's fresh. You're having fun. It's light. We like it. Since I said that this is unisex, I think I'm gonna give it 2 ratings. Female, it's a 6. You smell good. Male though, it's an 8. So the herbal part, the mint part, or whatever that herb is, comes out more during the dry down, and the sweetness kind of dies down. So I would say that makes it be more masculine actually in the dry down.
I am gonna let go of it. I'm only keeping 10s, and to me this is a 9. If I start keeping 9s, then I'm gonna end up with a clutter wall of fragrances, and I won't be able to afford to keep doing this channel. So I'm only keeping 10s. I would also say that this one just feels a bit overpriced. I don't know why that is in my mind. Maybe it's just the type of scent it ultimately is. Just feels like if I'm going to spend over $200 on a fragrance, it needs to be more challenging, more strong, more loud, more different, more for special occasions. This one kind of feels more like a dumb reach that's everyday casual, not really pushing boundaries. So it feels worth a lot, but it just doesn't feel worth the asking price for it. So all that being said, I'm going to let go of it, but I really respect this fragrance, and I'm super curious what y'all have to say about it in the comments. Yeah, subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.